What's up, dudes? HW here. How you doing? How are you doing? The guitar world just changed. Capture Tech is dead, and let me tell you what I mean by that. If you go back on this channel, you'll see years ago I made some videos called Modeling is Dead, where I basically predicted that modeling would slowly go away and it would be replaced by Capture Tech for this one reason. Capture Tech, if you put it in the hands of the users, will scale very quickly, and you will have versions of all of the tones people could want in all the niches: worship, new death, hyper metal, this obscure type of rock coming out of Canada, this obscure jazz, folk, Lithuanian folk music. The users could fill in all of the space and all of the niches way faster than a team at Line 6 or Fractal or Boss or wherever. And I think that hypothesis came true because hardly any units come to the market now without Capture Tech, right? Line 6 has gone to Capture Tech, Quad Cortex has gone to Capture Tech, ToneX has obviously burst on the scene with Capture Tech, Kemper has a new thing out with Capture Tech, Headrush did Capture Tech, everybody's doing Capture Tech, right? There's a new one coming out called I forget what it's called, X-Wrecker, and it's coming out with Capture Tech. And I have a new prediction, and that is modeling technology is dead because this brand new thing has just shown up on the scene called NAM A2. Now, if you don't know, let me catch you up. You can also go back on this channel and find an interview that I did about 3 years ago with a guy named Steve Ack, or Atkinson. I call him Steve Ack. And Steve's become like a friend of mine. I text him, and he answers back, and we've hung out a couple times. And I don't think I'll be invited to his wedding, but yeah, I consider him a bud. And yeah, we've hung out, and he was a really fascinating guy because he was like I don't even know what Steve did. I guess he was a data scientist, AI researcher, machine learning guru. And he was doing this as a profession, had nothing to do with guitar. He also played guitar. And so it's kind of like a project he just gave himself where he's going to create some capture technology. And he did. And then he sat on it for a while. And then he said, man, I guess I should make this into something people could actually download. And I should sort of not productize it, because he didn't do it as a product. He actually made this neural ant modeler that you hear about called open source. And so he put it out there. And when I first started using it, man, it was rough. You had this one player, nobody made anything with it. It was hard to share stuff. It was super hard to train stuff. No one could figure out how to train it locally, and then there was nowhere to train it online. You had to use Google. I had to pay Google for a while. Then I would run it Google, workspace or research thing, and I'd have to give it the script that Steve had online, and then I'd put my stuff in and I'd type stuff. It was a mess. It was just so not user friendly, and everyone's going, it's going to change the world. Wait till people get. And I was like, no one's going to use this until it's easier. And then some time went on, and it got a lot easier. There was this thing called Tone Zone popped up, and they were like, hey, upload all your NAM stuff. And then some guys started a project, a little business called Tone 3000. They took over Tone Zone, and they got a bunch of capacity to train all your NAM stuff online. And so all of a sudden I was like, I don't have to run the script anymore. And I started taking my NAM captures. They give you this little file, you run it into the amp and then get the sound back. And then you upload that into NAM 3000, they train it for you. And a lot of people said, hey, it's the most accurate, out there. The null test says it's better than this, but it had some aliasing, and it was so DSP intensive, you couldn't run it on anything. There was literally no devices you could run it on other than your computer. And you could only run so many instances of it. So no little devices played it. Then some people started making some devices that played it. But what became more popular was that a lot of these little Chinese manufacturers, Ampero, Vailton, Moore and stuff and all these guys, they said, hey, we love that open source technology. Here's the problem. We'd love to use it and we will use it. And some people made some software around it because it's open source. You can take it, fork it, and run with it, right? You don't owe Steve anything, right? But what started happening is these Chinese manufacturers said, you know, we made some little capture tech, and we made a converter so that you NAM people can use it here because our unit can't run NAM. NAM's too big. It's too bloated and big. I don't know if bloated is the right word, but it took too much DSP. And so their little cheap chips that they were putting in these $150 unit, $300 units, $500 units, they couldn't run them. So they said, we can convert NAM into ours, right? Into our software. And that had varying success. So you had a lot of NAM users going, well, I play NAM stuff, but I play it over on these. And the whole point of users wanting this NAM stuff was, you know, let me tell you, I get a lot of users who contact me and they go, hey, I was on ToneX, now I just switched to Quad Cortex, or I was on Quad Cortex, now I just switch to Fractal, or I was on this and now I just switched to that. And they're going, I bought all your stuff, can I buy the rest? Can I get it at a discount? And I usually give people a discount, but I think a lot of people have figured out, man, I would love to just be able to buy my favorite AC30 one time and have it on all my platforms. And that's actually why I have my Tone Junkie All Access product, so that you get every release on every platform, $99 for 12 months. Shameless plug. Anyway, but really that came out of people sending me emails saying, I play 3 platforms. Your stuff's too expensive for me to buy 3 times. And I went, that makes a lot of sense, man. So NAM has started being thought of as this open source alternative where it's like, hey, NAM is like IRs, but they're captures of whole amps, right? And so it's like they should be loaded on any system. Well, here's the problem. You couldn't load it on anything. So the guys from Tone 3000 and Steve got together, I think along with some other people, and they said, let's make this project happen. Tone 3000 starts working with some other manufacturers who go, we'd like to do NAM, tell us about it. Tone 3000 sets up this whole directory online. They're like the cloud for NAM. And they even have APIs where if you build a unit, you can look at Tone 3000. You can like direct your user to Tone 3000. You can download stuff right to your unit from these third-party servers that just has everything up there. You know, people like me have stuff up there. I've got to clean up my presence up there. I don't really have much new stuff up there, but I'm about to add it. And at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do with this new technology, A2 and stuff, in case you're wondering. But basically, they came out with this new thing called A2, which is just Architecture 2. And with this Architecture 2, they solved a couple things. One, by re-architecting NAM, and now Steve, probably knowing what he knows now, right? And with the help of some other people, they actually improved the accuracy a bit. Not a ton. NAM was already highly accurate, and a lot of people said it was already the most accurate. But they improved the accuracy. Now they say it's the most accurate, more than ToneX V2, more than QC V2. I'll do some tests in the future, more than anything else out there. And then in addition, they reduced the aliasing. So now it's at a level that's, I think, very reasonable, where I really don't notice it. And then the other thing they did was they made it scalable. So they basically, with this Architecture 2, they have a slim knob on the plugin. But what it really means is they made it so that you can take the model itself, and instead of having to retrain it on a smaller version or convert it to some other standard which messes with it, you can scale it down. And these NAM things have like 150,000 parameters. I don't remember how, 100,000 parameters that it looks at to measure, right? The scalable version actually starts bringing down the level, the amount of, it slims it down to a lighter, more usable model, and the tone is supposed to stay pretty much the same to your ear. And so what that means is NAM, even the light models, when they scale it down, is supposed to be more accurate than other stuff on the market, and it can now run on basically any device. They're even saying $3 chips, the $3 chips that are in some of these units, NAM can run on it. So what does that mean? It means that right now, if you were a person who was about to say, hey boss, I need $500,000 because I need to have my team of developers develop a capture technology, it really doesn't make any sense to. It really doesn't make any sense, because before this, if you wanted something like that, you had to build it yourself, and you kept it proprietary, and you kept your QC stuff on the cloud, and ToneX was in its software, and then you have all this stuff. And NAM was open source, but no one could run it. So it was like, great, it's cool if you want to put it on your laptop and use it for that, but people weren't using it. But now that NAM is going to be able to be run on everything, HeadRush says they're going to put it on their units. Cliff at Fractal said the next gen stuff for Fractal was already going to get NAM. But now that A2 is out, there's definitely enough DSP in the Fractal units today that a software update could make NAM possible. And I actually think that's going to happen. Or Fractal will just put out version 4. They'll want to sell those, and it'll have capture tech. If I was ToneMaster Pro, if I was Fender, I would add this. Right now, you're going to have a bunch of people. There's no reason at this point now to put out hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop your own capture tech, when what you can basically do is take NAM, fork it, build your software around it. You still build the software. You still control the UI and the UX. You still build whatever product you want. But in terms of doing the AI and the machine learning stuff and designing your own capture technology, you can just take NAM and use it for whatever you want. It's open source. You don't owe Steve or Tone 3000 any money. And there's already all these users. A lot of my customers, they're becoming NAM users. And they're saying, hey, I'm a NAM user. I'm looking for the best thing to play this. So this is really going to appeal to this Chinese manufacturers who are going, hey, we may not have the expertise to be the most cutting edge, but we know how to make products, right? We can emulate these effects, give you a touchscreen, do all this. I think of all of the platforms that I've seen in recent times, Moore, HeadRush, to a certain degree, ToneMaster Pro. And I'll give you some inside baseball here. I've had numerous manufacturers basically reach out to me and offer me units and ask me to make videos on things, because what happens to a lot of manufacturers is they actually put out a great product, and then they fail to get a community together online, and the product just sort of fizzles. I think this has happened a lot with HeadRush. I think this has happened a lot with ToneMaster Pro. I think this has happened with the Moore unit, definitely. Moore actually, as the GS1000, is actually a really, really cool unit. Touchscreen, small. The Ampero stuff seems to have a lot of life, and the Velton stuff seems to have a lot of life, but I think a lot of that's because of NAM and the conversion they were doing. But now they're not going to have to do the conversion anymore. And Moore has already said they're going to do that. They're going to add A2. HeadRush has already said they're going to add A2. HeadRush might be the unit to buy, because HeadRushes are actually cheap on the used market. Now it's the second version of HeadRush. It's the Prime and the Flex. But if they run NAM, you're all of a sudden going to be seeing me pay. I'm going to be making, I don't make a lot of stuff for HeadRush because the community is not that big. I have people that ask me for it, so I kind of drop some HeadRush stuff and then move on, and months later I'll drop some more HeadRush stuff and move on. I did the same thing with ToneMaster Pro. If those things took NAM, I would build presets for those. That way you could just drop the NAM captures in, right? But that's really where a lot of my effort would go. And as a user, you would only have to buy the NAM capture, and then you own it forever. You bring it platform to platform. Now, right now, in office buildings of all the big guys, right, there's got to be all these conversations where someone's saying, should we have NAM? Should we include NAM should we make it so that you can pull in NAM and it'll run in our software, in our device? And the answer to that has been, we can't really do it. But now the answer is going to be, should we do it? And I think there's going to be a lot of meetings out there where a lot of people go, why shouldn't we do this? And then a lot of people will develop all these fluff answers like, I think there's actually a lot of reasons why we shouldn't, why we want control, and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, if the user interface in the UX actually isn't altered by it being a NAM file you imported, or a Quad Cortex, ToneX, Kemper, Proxy, if the user doesn't see anything different, right? If all that happens is the software imports it and now it's in there, it's either running NAM or it's running this. Maybe the block looks slightly different. You haven't taken away from the experience. And really what you've done is you've opened yourself up. Those hardware systems have now opened themselves up to a new user base. There's always going to be people who go, man, I heard the ToneMaster Pro is awesome. They're going to buy it and they're going to use Proxy. They're going to buy it and QC is going to walk them through the thing. And you're not going to have to use Tone 3000. But there's also going to be this huge community, and there is this wide worldwide community. And it's growing in the United States so fast, I'll tell you. My sales of NAM are growing to the point that I really need to get like my Tone 3000 presence like locked in and stuff, and really put some more effort behind showing my NAM things. But my NAM stuff just sounds like everything else. I shoot everything basically at the same time. So my NAM stuff gets shot literally at the same time. My NAM stuff gets shot, I shoot the ToneX, and then I shoot NAM. That's literally how I do it. NAM, I write down the settings, I shoot all the ToneX stuff, then when that trains, I go right to NAM. So it becomes the sort of thing where it's like, we've seen the last capture technology that's going to be created. It's whatever's in the X Wrecker that's coming out pretty soon. The X Wrecker is going to come out, and they're going to have a capture tech, but they also run NAM. They run full NAM, right? So now they'll run A2, I guess. But they already had the power to run the full NAM, and then the A1, you know, and then you're gonna Proxy's gonna be the last one. Proxy and X Wrecker, what they put out is gonna be the last one. I don't think you're gonna see anybody else come to market with a new capture technology after this. After this, it's only gonna be people are gonna adopt A2. Are they gonna keep? Is Line 6 gonna keep Proxy and keep going Proxy? Yes. Are they gonna hopefully put NAM in? They should. They should. They don't. Here's why. You don't want to be last. That's what I really think. See, right now, I think what the manufacturers are going to do is they're going to go a little protectionary in their thinking. They're going to go, well, wait a minute, we want control. Blah, 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 blah. It makes you, right? That's a reaction. But really what's going to happen is the first several manufacturers that add A2, which is probably going to be Fractal, I think they eat a lot of that pie. If the FM9 tomorrow plays NAM, you're going to see FM9 sales go up, not down, not stay the same. You're going to see an appreciable difference in AM9. When Headrush releases their NAM upgrade, you will see headrushes evaporate from the used market, because there are tons of people, especially the Flex, right? Because you can integrate that on a pedal board. You're all of a sudden going to have a real competitor at those price points to some other units of people doing the same thing, and that right now Headrush is not in that conversation. I think you know, it would be really interesting to see everybody. But I think if tomorrow Headrush and TMP say we run NAM, I think they all of a sudden elevate themselves to the conversation of everything else, of the other big boys. And if QC does it, hey, we play NAM. Hey, we can put NAM in here. Or if ToneX does it, I think they eat even more of the pie. And ToneX is the one who I think is eating the most of the new pie. They're probably grabbing more new customers than anybody at those price points. And I think ToneX would be very smart, very, very smart, to grab NAM capability and say, hey, users can import TXPs, bring in the tone models, or you can bring in NAM. It's all done behind the scenes. We'll put a little note in there which one you're playing, but to the user, it's all just our software. It's all what we do, and it looks good. And what that means is you'll see all the NAM, all the ToneX, all the NAM people will buy ToneX, and ToneX already has the right price point to do it. All right, dudes, my name is HW. I think we've just seen the last capture tech ever get created. I think capture tech is dead, and it got killed by an open source capture tech.